Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 134 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news, as well as what we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my co-hosts.
My name is Craig. It is beginning of November, middle of game season, and it's so hot. What happened?
Yeah.
I turned on my
It's
AC
definitely-
today.
It's
I had to
so
literally
hot.
turn on my AC.
Yeah. Mine is still running. My name is Craig. It is the beginning of November, and if you think this podcast is going to say anything about God of War, we probably will.
Probably. We probably will.
And what we're going to guarantee that we talk about on this podcast, at least, is the news.
Let's go.
So first up on mine is, and I guess we'll just go and get this out of the way. The God of War Ragnarok is the second coming. Like, I don't want to say of
Yes.
Christ.
Might as
It's
well.
It's like the second coming of the greatest game ever created at this point. Sitting at a 94 on Metacritic, getting 10s and 9s throughout. Everywhere is talking about this game, and I think for the most part, this podcast couldn't be more excited for Wednesday to come along.
Oh
And
my God.
It's going to be a wild ride. I can't wait for the spoiler cast we do on this game. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm a little nervous that we're gonna get like overhyped for it.
I don't know.
You don't
man.
think so?
I agree.
Think,
It's
I
just
think
like
we'll have the proper hype. I think we have the proper hype.
yeah. I mean, I've watched like 4 video reviews so far, and everyone is like literally like, this is the greatest game ever made, one of the greatest games ever. And I'm just like, that's awesome. And I'm super excited. But like, now I'm just like, man, am I going to go into it and be like the smallest thing and be like, well, this sucks. You know what I mean? But I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm happy it's getting the praise that I'm sure it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
They
one thing about like the video reviews that I'm noticing, and I guess that I'm a little worried about, is they're all talking about how the combat system's evolved. But every time I look at the gameplay of the combat system, it looks like the original, which that's nothing bad about it. I loved the original combat, but we talk about how in the second game we want the combat to evolve. So I guess not to like get it in my hands will I know how it feels for it, and to see
Sure.
whether or not this combat is actually even better than what God of War 2018 was it 16?
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah, it's
So God of War
2018.
2018, his combat system was. So that's like the part that I'm most concerned about, just because it seems like they streamlined a lot of the armor system from the reviews I saw, and the story. I wasn't worried about the story. Santa Monica knows what they're doing. It's more or less the combat system is what I need to see how it evolves, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the kind of person that if it doesn't have too many different things, I'm not gonna really chastise it because they've found what really works. In sequels, you do always want to see something evolve, but Craig, now that you do mention it, I'm a little maybe worried because like we're walking into this thing like it's essentially Disney World, and
Yeah.
I know the next podcast that we do, it's just going to essentially be a God of War podcast, but which I have no problem with. But I really hope that when we switch on our PlayStations or Xboxes when we just turn on our systems and put it on, that it's really not going to like small things not disappoint.
Right. Also, I would like to say, and I don't know if they did this intentionally or not, but I'm going to, in the back of my mind, say that they did. I appreciate them releasing it on a Wednesday so that if they would have released it on a Tuesday, everybody would have played God of War and not went and voted. So I appreciate them releasing it on a Wednesday and also not releasing it on a Friday so that I feel like I have to play a million hours just so we can talk about it when we record. So we got plenty of time to dive into it this week.
You want to know who doesn't care about voting? Sonic Frontiers.
They do not. And again, I don't even know if that's why they did it. I'm just assuming that's why. But yeah, poor Sonic Frontiers, man. They're going to get completely forgotten about this week.
I'm excited. Definitely. I'm actually excited for that game. So we'll see what happens here. Next up on my list is going to be Stray and its unique adopting opportunity. So how this is working, and I just thought this was really clever, is in they're like it's all about adopting kittens, and apparently they've somehow worked into the game where streamers on Twitch will be able to play as kittens that you can adopt from this certain adopting agency. And I put down all the names here. I has Cupquake, which I know Cupquake. I know that streamer, but like Snapnap, Shipwrecked, Abram Engel, Daydream TV, Nicole Tompkins, and Ricky Chu are all like streamers that are going to be doing this and kind of
Oh,
playing as these other avatars of cats that you can download. They're calling this a game-based adoption uh
oh
thing.
wow.
I just looked at the press release. I just think it's really cool and really and like I want to award by saying how like creative this is to get people to like adopt cats from this certain adoption agency, you know, have them play the cat in the game. You know, you get to see the
Hmm.
cat, get have it jump around and stuff and see how, fun it looks. I'm not sure how they were able to like mod Stray and get it to have these unique avatars for the cats that are in the adoption center. But for a good cause here, I think it's outstanding that they can do something like this, and that the Stray developers also seem to have its back. Just really, really awesome adopting opportunity. If you're interested in watching it, it's going to be happening November 9th.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We already knew that the team that on Stray specifically, like the main cat was modeled after somebody's cat on the team. Like there was a lot of things that they have already done that really showed that they were pro cat, but like just this just kind of adds a lot more, and it's uh that's a really, like, you can't help but clap for something like that because that's really just admirable. It's an admirable cause, and the fact that there are so many streamers on board with it too and willing to do something, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
hopefully
fantastic.
and hopefully some cats get adopted out of this. I think that'd be a really cool
Yeah.
opportunity for them. Next up for me is going to be The Last of Us. HBO is coming a lot sooner than we expected. January 15th is the premiere date. And I
Wow.
think I think it's smart on their part because you haven't heard anything from HBO since House of Dragons has ended. So I
Mhm.
think it's just best for them. And I know people are watching The White Lotus. I've never watched it, but um I think it's a good idea for them to like constantly have like their like a big franchise come and like have a big TV show for it. And The Last of Us for HBO coming out January 15th is sooner than I expected, and also just good to hear. Uh there were
Yeah.
so many things that we had House of Dragons, Andor, uh, Rings of Power. Like there are so many good shows compacted on one another that it's really hard to watch them all. And the fact that it sounds like the Last of Us HBO series is coming out January 15th, it's probably going to be separate from a lot of other shows going on at the time. Good for them if they want to get new subscribers, but also just good for consumers who are having struggling watching everything all the time. That's my main issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I I'm ready to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you?
I can only
Yeah, I
hope
don't
it's
know.
not.
I just have no faith. Yeah. I want it to be great, but I there hasn't really been a great video game adaptation yet. So until that happens, I'm always going to be super pessimistic about anything related to video games. Maybe this is the one, but like I'm going to go into it expecting it to be not great, and hopefully I'm wrong.
What would you say to the people who argue like the earlier seasons of Witcher, like as like the perfect or great video game adaptation?
I didn't like that show at all.
Mm.
I mean that could be one you could point to, I guess. I don't know. Castlevania could be another one.
Castlevania would
Castlevania
be.
is
Yeah,
awesome. Castlevania is
yeah,
insane.
yep.
I do want to say too, because people will say, "Well, what about Cyberpunk Edge Runners?" Barry loves that anime.
Yeah.
Um, while it is
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
wh-
whoa.
while while it is heavily inspired by Cyberpunk, it is not the Cyberpunk game. It is an original branching story off of it, where The
Right.
Last of Us, I think, is looking to maybe retell the events of the first game with probably a couple other side story type things. Probably, that's what I have to guess.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I know Craig and I will be teaming up on this, is going to be the PSVR 2 announcement coming out February 22nd with a hefty price tag of $549.99. Before I get into devil's advocate of things, Craig, go ahead.
Yeah, you're gonna go the pro. All right. We already talked about this a while ago about the price, right? And we all agreed that like it cannot be more than the system. It just
Yeah.
can't. And they did it anyway. And here's how I look at it: 549 is too much money, and then the $600 one, which is the one you want because that comes with the Horizon
Yeah.
game, right? Like the little pack
Hmm.
in for $600, uh, way overpriced, and you still have to plug it in.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm sure it's going to be fine, but I'm still looking at like back there my Oculus, which was $299. It's completely wireless. It can play 95% of the games that this PlayStation VR will, and the only ones I won't be able to play are like, I'm sure the Horizon one will be fun, but what is that, like a 2-3 hour experience more than likely? I just I think they're killing themselves doing this because people
Yeah.
still can't you still can't readily go into a store and buy a PS5. It's getting better, but it's not there yet. And then to think that like it's going to be even harder to try to find the VR, I think. And on
Yeah.
top of that, like, so you're looking at what, over $1,000 to do the PSVR. There's other VRs around that price range that are heads and tails better than this is. It
Hmm.
just makes no sense to me whatsoever. Go
Yeah.
ahead, give me the
My
positives.
yeah. I was going to mention just real quick before you go into the positives, Barry. My wife and I are still trying to land our first VR set, and we've been going back and forth between Oculus versus the PlayStation VR. And like this type of announcement does not sway us towards the PlayStation One. Barry, your positives might sway us. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
you might
So
give us that.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
go ahead.
PR guy.
so Craig is
Yeah.
right in considering that I am going to compare it to the MetaQuest Pro.
Right.
First off, what we're looking at here, and this is just some of the details of it. The PSVR 2 has a OLED HDR screen, so
Mhm.
it is a higher quality screen than the MetaQuest Pro. That is just an LCD. It
How
has
much is
higher
that one?
resolution.
The
This is
MetaQuest Pro, 1499,
50, yeah, 1500,
$1,500. Yep.
$1,500.
Mm-hmm.
So a higher refresh rate as well at
Mm-hmm.
120 and 90 hertz, where the MetaQuest Pro is just 90 hertz. Better field of view as well, with 110 compared to 105 on the Pro. And then we kind of get into a lot of the same other stuff here with with the Pro headset. Now, again, the price $1,500 for the MetaQuest Pro, where if you are considering a PlayStation system and the price of a PSVR 2 is still going to be less than the MetaQuest Pro. Now, you still have one cable
Yep.
that you have to connect to the system. With that as well, it is a single USB-C cable that connects to the PlayStation, where the MetaQuest Pro is wireless.
Mm-hmm.
So, take that with what you will here. I do believe that the PSVR is very expensive, considering that it is more expensive than the console itself. But I think what PlayStation is going for here is similar to what the MetaQuest Pro offers. It is going to be a very premium, high quality VR system. Now, you also need to keep in mind that the PSVR 2, like for example with Beat Saber, you most likely will not be able to mod it like you
Right.
can with Beat Saber on PC. Um, there you will be playing within the restrictions of PSVR 2 and hoping that PlayStation offers a good enough support for the PSVR 2,
Yeah. Yep.
where we have seen with failing systems, take for example the Vita, not a lot of in my experience, not a lot of PlayStation branded games came out for that. That was essentially a JRPG dumping system is what that was. And
Yep.
I'm a JRPG guy, and that's so it's saying
Yeah.
something. So we have seen how they will kind of not support the system as much as you'd hope. And that's something you need to take in consideration, because with the Meta Quest Pro, you have the entire team of Facebook and Oculus, which has been absorbed into Meta
Right.
for
Mhm.
for it. So you kind of need to look and see what works for you. But I think much to like what Craig was saying, is that yes, the price tag is high, but I think Sony is doing this on purpose, because when it comes to spec wise, it is on par, or if not better in some aspects than the Meta Quest Pro. Now
There.
you do have
Go
the
ahead.
operating system for the Pro, which
Right.
is like you're able, you're supposed to be able to sit on one computer screen and have the VR headset create multiple windows for you while you're doing it. And that sounds insane. And from what I'm seeing, it is
Mm,
possible. The
Yeah.
PS VR isn't going to get that kind of operating system.
Um. Also, one, I don't think very many people are going to buy the Meta at all, right? I think that's way too expensive as well. But the one of the big selling points of that was the facial tracking as well, as opposed to like the Oculus, which is what Barry, you and I both have, and
Yeah.
is awesome. This is supposed to fully track your face, your facial movements, all of that. Which I don't know if the PSVR2 is doing or not. I didn't really see any answer one way or the other. And it could be, I don't know. But I know like that's one of the major selling points of the Meta was like facial tracking, and they were even trying to push like, you know, accurate facial recognition for Teams calls. First of all, nobody's doing Teams calls in an Oculus. Let's just get
no,
that out there.
no,
No company is using that. But
no.
I don't see the Oculus, the Meta Quest doing well either. I think $1,500 is insane. And I can't imagine very many people at all, besides streamers and people who have insanely high amounts of disposable income, are going to be picking that up when you can get the Oculus for 300 or whatever, and it play almost every single game anyway.
Yeah, it seems like just representative again of how much money you're willing to spend for
Right.
the product that you're getting, which is essentially what it is. That spec read, Barry, was actually pretty interesting when you were comparing it to like the higher priced MetaQuest, but I don't know. I find myself in a unique position because I am trying to acquire VR, and there are different options. There is the economic option, there is the new option, there is the holy I'm an astronaut
Yeah.
option as well, you know, or at least
Yep.
making astronaut money. So I like the comparisons, and I like other people out there. I think this is a very interesting landscape to be able to choose from, to be honest, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Many options.
Yeah, just keep it in mind. And then one thing as well is because it did not support it the last one. This one does do 4K HDR support.
Sweet.
So where with the PS4, if you had the box connected to it, it wasn't passing through the checkerboard 4K stuff. There's nothing like that in this particular
Mm,
case. Whatever box you end up having to hook up to this thing to get it to work and connect, it will also support the 4K HDR pass through up to the PS5. So
Sweet.
you aren't losing anything like you were with the original PlayStation, which is a much smarter choice in my
Absolutely.
yes,
eyes.
most definitely.
Yeah.
But that's it for news for me, which
All right.
20 minutes of Barry news. Let's get into everybody else's.
Very news.
I'll stay with PlayStation here. Something I thought was interesting is PlayStation Plus, which we have kind of gone back and forth on for a couple months now, has lost 1.9 million subscribers so far since its inception. Again, not surprised because they're not updating it like they should be. They are updating. I don't want to say they're not putting anything on there, but not very much, and not that much that I think is that interesting. More than I thought, though. I mean, I still have mine, but it's because I forget to cancel it and I just let it auto renew all the time. But
Yeah,
1.9 million is
same.
a lot. I'd like to know
That
what
is a lot.
the all encompassing amount is of how many people actually have it, but that's got to be a considerable amount.
Yeah, do they ask you that classic question of like why you're canceling? Because I would love to see what demographic has the most answer. Like
Yeah,
what answer is listed the most.
yeah.
It's
I don't know
it's
if they do or
becoming
not.
stale.
Yeah.
It's becoming stale, is what it is. Like the honeymoon phase is over,
Hmm.
and a lot of gamers, clearly over a million, have not seen enough return to be able to keep a service like that. It seems like I feel like Netflix has this issue sometimes, especially right after they raise their prices, because people are like, "Why are you dropping The Office and you're
Yeah.
still raising prices?" Or like whatever show they like. But as a personal gamer, if I could share something with you and everybody who's listening, I don't pay attention to PlayStation Plus anymore. Like I have to actively, while a game's downloading or something, go
Right.
in and look. Like, what I pay attention to now? What's Game Pass got? Like, I'm on my Game Pass app now on my phone. And yeah, I'm a new Game Pass person, but the honeymoon phase of that has also ended because I got that in like January. So, like, both are just not new anymore to me.
Yeah.
But what gives me a better return as a gamer tends to be Game Pass, at least still right now, as opposed to what PS Plus can offer, because still the games that they release for free, those 3 that they do every month, is something either that I've already bought years ago,
Yep. Yep.
ages ago, or it's a third party game that I'm never going to play because it's not my style, but I still put it in my library because I'm a game hoarder, because I knew what it was like to grow up with only one game at a time. Yeah, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
like,
Yep.
Yeah, I think
it
the
should show them
reason
something.
Yeah, I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, I think the reason that like we know it's slowing down is because it can't compete with Game Pass in a way. Like Game Pass, and the main thing here is there's two different approaches. Sony is banking on the fact that you want to play their older games, and Xbox is banking on the fact that you want to play the new games coming out.
Mhm.
And in the end, of course, it makes complete sense that Game Pass is going to be better because a majority of gamers are looking to play the newer games. There isn't some, I'll be extreme here. There isn't some 7-year-old looking to play the original Parappa the Rappa or the
Right.
original Sly Cooper. That
Yeah.
7-year-old is looking to play the newest game that his friends are playing, whether it's, and I'll use 7-year-old games for example, like Slime Rancher 2 or, any of the other, kind of friendly games there. Or you have, young teenage gamers who probably aren't looking to play, the older PlayStation games either. They're looking to play whatever new games are coming out. Take, for example, Plague Tale Requiem, Stalker. Like, that is what Xbox has been consistently doing,
Yeah.
is putting out new games, whether they're first party or not, and allowing, a majority of gamers. Yeah, of course. It's like, I'm a PlayStation guy, and it's clear that Game Pass is like the better deal because you're getting newer games out of it. Where
Mhm.
the back catalog, like, I'll be honest, there's not a lot of times where I go, "Oh yeah, I want to play an older Xbox or an older PlayStation game." Because
Sure.
one, like, they show their age for sure,
Yeah.
and two, you just run into the fact that like the games probably either aren't optimized for it either. Like it's just like kind of a
Yeah.
throw on here. Cause the only thing that does well with its like retro library is Nintendo.
Yep.
Because those are the
Yeah.
games that I grew up playing. I'll go back to Nintendo and play Pokemon Puzzle League, which still holds up to this day as, one of the most frantic puzzle games I've ever played. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
like you have Sony that's stuck in, it doesn't want to bring first party games to PlayStation because they believe it's going to bring down their revenue.
Yep.
And they just continue to upload old games. There was just a post the other day that for Ratchet and Clank's anniversary, I think they put Up Your
5 games.
Arsenal.
They put
Yeah,
5
like,
Ratchet and Clank games. Yep.
yeah, and it's like, I don't know who's excited for that. Some super Ratchet and Clank fans, sure, I
Right.
guess, but that's not anything I'm looking forward to. One, because I've probably played most of those games in my youth, and two, they're not going to hold up to the
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
to my spoiled, you know, 2020 21, or I. That's when that game came out. Like the newest Ratchet and Clank
Mm-hmm.
came out,
But like,
so it's like you don't get it.
but here's the question, Barry. Like, when does PlayStation realize that the revenue that they think they're losing for not putting on new games equals or surpasses losing, what was it, 1.9 million
Yeah.
subscribers?
At what, like $18 a month?
Let's get a calculator out.
Yeah.
Like put your best math per people on it,
Yep.
and figure out what is the lesser of two evils, because like I can make a guess, and I'm not nearly in a business or graduated with a business degree or anything like that. I could kind of guess which one, because we know how subscriptions benefit any company. We Companies live on subscriptions now.
Yep.
Like that's the revenue making thing, is people like us forgetting to to not like
Yeah.
cancel.
Not cancel.
So
Yep. Every time I get the email that's like, thanks for your payment, I'm like, ah.
ah
I just got it today, actually. Here's the thing that I was kind of thinking of too. When you look up the biggest demographic of gamers right now, right? And the biggest demographic right now is the age of 30 to 35. That's where the most gamers are right now. And I know there's a lot below that, but that's just according to whatever's out there. That's literally what they say. 30 to 35 is the biggest gaming demographic. So that demographic, which is like my age range, I'm a little past that now, but
same.
um, they wanted from
I'm not.
PlayStation. Yeah, you're not. So you're okay. We're not. But here's the thing. What we wanted from PlayStation Plus was a lot of people wanted that original PlayStation and PlayStation 2 catalog, right? So all they have to do is keep tapping into that, but they're not. There's games out there, like every time I look, like you look on a Reddit post and you'll always see people like, give me Legend of Dragoon on PlayStation 1. I want to play that again. Give me Mega Man Legends. Give me all the Final
Yes.
Fantasies. You know what I mean? Like all the originals from PlayStation that are just waiting for them to put on there that people are gonna play, that they just instead, like what was this month? It was like Lego Harry Potter is what they
Mhm.
put
Yep.
on there, and two other games, right? And those games are fine, but the problem that I have is I look at those, I'm like, those games are great, but they've been on Game Pass for months and years sometimes, right? So like you're too late. So tap into the difference that you have from Microsoft, which is that PS1 and PS2, even PS3 catalog, and get the ones that people want. Give me
Yep.
Dino Crisis. I'm just like going through my head of PlayStation 1 games and PlayStation 2. There's a lot
Yeah.
of
I'll be.
JRPGs. The
Yep.
Dot Hack series. Where's that at? Put that on there. I'd play that again.
Yeah.
I don't. They're just missing.
Xenosaga.
Yes.
Xenosaga is a great
Yeah.
one. I'm with you on Mega Man Legends. Mega Man Legends, I still want to play, and you can't find that anywhere.
I
It's
have it.
not a good game, but I want to play it.
I'll never
I
get rid
want
of that. I will hold on to
to.
that till the day I die.
That
And I
game is
played that on
amazing.
stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will admit, like you did mention Lego Harry Potter, I will mention too the other games were Neo 2 for both PS5 and PS4,
Which I just
and
bought.
Heavenly Bodies for PS4 and PS5 as well. Just so
Sure.
that
You
Heavenly
did just
Bodies.
nice.
Sure. Whatever.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I don't want
Oh
to
my
like harp
god.
on it forever, but it's just annoying.
Well,
Um,
yeah. Well, just like the other one thing I wanted to call out about this is that so the way Sony thinks, and they're not wrong in this particular case, especially considering God of War Ragnarok and how well it's reviewing.
Mhm.
Their first party games are system sellers. And
Yeah.
I don't think Xbox really has that. As of
Nope.
the moment, they're working on it, but they like Sony's thinking is the reason they don't put it on, their streaming platforms is yes, they lost 1.9, but they're thinking, imagine all the people who are buying PS5s because of God of War Ragnarok and eventually buy another game and eventually subscribe to PlayStation Plus, whether it's one of the three tiers. So like that's what I think is what
Can I
Yeah.
Sony's
what their
doing with
mindset?
that. I'm not a
Can I ask you
business
both a
major either,
question?
but that just makes sense.
Yeah.
Can I ask you both a question? Is it stupid that you just like made me think of something, Barry? There is it stupid for I don't know if this is a cop out, but is it stupid for PlayStation to look at what Microsoft is doing and release a game on their platform that's similar to what's released on Game Pass, and like to use something in a retro aspect? Should they have released Plague Tale for free for premium users because they saw Microsoft do it? At this point, there are at this point these two giants are just mimicking each other or completely shunning each other. So like,
Yeah.
should they have like a test run where they do something like that? Because that's not Requiem is not a system seller. So they
Yeah.
can leave like God of War. Well, they can leave all the stuff out of it,
Microsoft
So
owns that though, so I don't think
Yeah,
they would let
yeah,
them.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
that is a
Yeah,
different that is a particular case where it's a little, different
right.
Okay.
in that one.
Yeah, I
Is
don't
there a
think
g-
Microsoft would let them.
is there a game that you guys could see where they should test that out? Like if they just so
Spider-Man.
happen,
I the next Spider-Man, right? That's rumored supposed to be coming out soon. I think that's it. Day one, PlayStation Plus Premium Spider-Man.
No.
They won't do it, but that's what they
Yeah.
should do.
Yeah, but like in their eyes, Spider-Man is also the console selling
Sure it
game.
is. But you're
So,
still going to get money $18 a month. They're thinking at like, all right, we're going to sell 4 million copies of Spider-Man, whatever. It might be more than that, but like at $70, that's a lot of money. Or you could sell 4 million subscriptions at $18 a month and people are going to, I would say at least half of those will keep the subscription, whether
yeah,
they forget
that's
to cancel or
yeah, that's
whatever.
what you have to hope for is that they
Right.
keep their subscriptions, which I imagine they've probably
a
done.
lot of people do.
And people keep their Game Pass subscription because they make you want to keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PlayStation just doesn't care. I just
I
think the
mean, they don't.
PlayStation Premium, the PlayStation Plus Premium is just gonna is gonna die. You know, it's just gonna die off, and they're just gonna be like, here's a couple games, we don't care anymore. They're gonna say because they didn't see the value in it when they're the ones who tanked the value, but it's not their fault.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
All right. So another quick one here. That one I said the PlayStation one was a quick one, and it wasn't.
Oh, it
Diablo
wasn't going to
4.
be.
Diablo 4 is coming in April of next year now. Where I think we're
Yes.
far enough away from the scandal, right? I think the right people got kicked out the door. Microsoft's kind of in charge of this now, I guess. Are people excited for it again? Do you think? And do you think it drops on Game Pass day one?
Oh my god, I hope so.
Me too.
Hmm,
I think it
I think it
does.
will.
I think it
I
will, and
think
I hope
so.
it will.
Yeah, and I think people
It's
are. I mean, I haven't heard anything recently from Blizzard. I feel like I would hope everything got worked out as far as workplace environment at this point.
yeah, it's been some time.
Yeah. And then the last thing I have that I have to bring up because this one really made me angry. I don't know either one of you have ever played Parasite Eve. Parasite Eve is another one that they should add on to PlayStation Plus Premium. That was for the PlayStation 1. It was a horror slash RPG elements. I loved Parasite Eve, and there were some leaks about Parasite Eve on the web that got everybody excited that hey, maybe we're going to get a remake, a remaster, maybe we're going to get a new game. And Square decided instead to announce that guess what? It's just a partnership with an NFT.
Come on.
Yay! Way to be. I mean, NFT. I feel like is it's not dead, but right. I don't think it has the popularity that it did at this point. What
No.
are they doing? Why?
Just
I would have
stupid.
taken a like a pinball machine or something. You know?
Yeah. And now I'm angry.
Yeah. Parasite Eve is a great game. Both of them, 1 and 2. But yeah, to get all that get all worked up, and I was super excited. Then to hear that just ruined my week. But that's all I got.
All right. Well, got a couple of things. They all kind of seem like small to medium. I'll just get the God of the War one out of the way because we already talked about God of War. I kind of
Sure.
should have just piggybacked it when you originally were talking about God of War, but they something came out that there is going to be a midway checkpoint feature added to boss battles in this particular
Yes.
game, and I heard that, and I just thought I just could picture one side's thought about it, and I could picture like another side's thought about it, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. I wanted to hear what you guys thought. I'm kind of excited,
Sure.
in particular, just because I'm at the point now with specific things. I got older fingers. I'm not the gamer I used to be. I'm 34. So sometimes my rigid, icicle type fingers doesn't necessarily put the input that I want in. So it's kind of nice to get something like this, especially because it's a feature that seems to be you can turn on and off.
Yep. Completely optional.
So completely optional, which is something that this feature should be, because for the hardcore gamers, streamers, things like that, they could just keep it off. But like for people just casually playing, people newcomers to the series, which I couldn't even picture being a newcomer to God of War. But anyway, a newcomer to the series can turn it on if they want. I wanted to hear what you guys thought about that.
I think it's a good option for everybody. Like for me personally, I just want gaming to be accessible to
Yep.
anybody and everybody, as much people as possible. So if this opens up the door for people to be able to like find the game easier and have more people access it, then it's a great feature. I'm glad it's something you could turn on and off.
Yeah.
Just because like for me, I kind of want that experience of being able to beat the boss all the way through on one life.
Sure.
It's kind of like a adrenaline rush type thing. Take for example Elden Ring or any of the Dark Souls games that would do that. So I think on God of War's part, I think it's great. And one thing I will say too is the Sony first party games have done a really excellent job of providing those accessibility features to people. Whether
Mm.
you're colorblind in some way, have trouble reading, need, almost a different type of color scape in order to be able to comprehend the game for people, like fantastic on Sony's part for the accessibility portion of things, because I've seen all the great different graphics modes that God of War is offering, all the different difficulties, all the different accessibility options, and like, they're just going above and beyond to making sure that this game is available and accessible to the people who want to play it. And I think that's in itself such a fantastic thing for gaming.
Yeah, I it being optional is great so that you have that choice. I think what happens is when you get older, um, I don't look down on playing a game on easy like I used to. Because some games I'm like, I just want to play this game, but I don't want to spend, you know, out of a maybe a 15-hour experience, like 8 of it just banging my head against certain parts that I just can't beat. So having the ability, any type of ability to checkpoint through a system or an easier drop down to an easier difficulty, I think is great. Um, I feel like it takes you a little while as a gamer once you get older to accept that, like, hey, maybe I do play this game on easy or the one above easy so that I don't get so angry like I used to. Like I used to always play the Call of Duty campaigns on the hardest difficulty. I know better now. I know better that like I don't want to waste that time of my life and get super angry, so I play it on normal and it's a great
Mhm.
experience. God of War is like a normal experience for me unless it gets like crazy and then maybe I bump it down. Um, I think all that stuff's great. I think the only place where it doesn't need to be is a Dark Souls or an Elden Ring. I think
Yeah.
that's what they go for. You know what you're getting into with that game. But yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. If I could have had a maybe 4 or 5 checkpoint system fighting the Valkyries in the last
Mm-hmm.
God of War, that would have been great.
Oh, I'll use it if
'Cause I
there's Valkyries again. You know I will.
yeah. Oh my god.
Hate those
Oh
things.
my god. Yeah, I'm traumatized. I bring them up, I think, every 2 months at a minimum at
Yep.
some point, just because they have traumatized me. Um, but that's what I had for that. We did get some news from Remedy, because also, number one, Remedy has a bunch of games that are on the docket. But Alan Wake 2 is on track to come out in 2023. I don't think
Yes.
anything has changed with Jake Gyllenhaal being the face of that, which is really interesting to me, that they can land somebody big like that. But they didn't give an exact date. It is nice that they did say 2023, but you know how the video game landscape is. We'll see if that gets pushed back to 2027, but like get pushed back 6 different times until it gets to 2027. We'll see. But I thought that was nice. Are you guys excited for Alan Wake 2?
Alan Wake's one of my
Oh,
favorite games of all time.
I
there you
never
go.
played the original or the remake. It's a game I'd like to play, and I want to play. It's just a matter of getting through my 30 backlogs of games
It's
that
one
Yeah.
of
need
the
me.
greatest stories in a game ever written. Personally, that's what I think.
Okay.
That's high
So that's
praise.
two. Yeah,
Yep.
that is high praise. That's two who haven't, and this is like, you know how many games Craig has played in his lifetime, and like that's it's
Always
that's
accessible. It's right there.
always accessible.
Yep.
That might have to be something. I don't even know when, because like I want to be ready for it, so I hope
Mhm.
they kind of release it in like the summer or something, so there could be a little bit of a log, but like, or a little bit of a what do you call it? Like just like a enough time for me to get through some of them, because like the beginning of
It's its own
2023,
space.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And 2023, it has its own mess of games already coming out.
does.
And then like smack dab into May, you got the second Zelda as well. So we'll see. But that's also coming out. And then there was an Atomic Heart, which is essentially like 60% BioShock is what it looks like. But there's an Atomic Heart 10-minute boss battle that got released. And as Barry pointed out earlier before we actually started recording, the boss's name was like Hedgie or Head. It was something like that. And it essentially was the bad robot at the end of The Incredibles. It looked exactly like it. It moved exactly like it.
It
It
has
was, I
some
don't
of
know.
the same move set.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Literally.
Yeah.
When I saw the comparisons, I couldn't help but laugh and smile because I was like,
Yeah.
you could definitely tell there's been a game developer who finally gets to work on a boss battle, and he's like, finally, my chance to make the Incredibles,
Yeah.
robot ball thing. It looks really cool. It really does, but I can't help
Mhm.
but laugh because it
Yeah.
is, some of these moves are straight from the movie. There's no hiding it. It
Mhm.
is,
It
it's
does. It does look.
uncanny.
Yeah. What you can take from it besides that is it looks quite polished. It looks from the boss battle video that you have like a separate input or some type of input to dodge to the side really quickly, because that was all that person was doing. I also appreciated the fact that whoever was doing that game died like 7 or 8 times in that 10-minute time frame. And it had a very, I don't know what like when they died, they had kind of like a funny animation going that kind of reminded me of like a Fallout kind of thing or something, or like a Looney Tune Fallout thing. I don't know how I got that combination in my head, but it looks pretty cool. It got to show off a variety of weapons. It's showing us a boss that, while very much the Incredibles robot, uh, has some complexity to beating it. And it kind of made me more excited about it. Still it just bleeds BioShock,
Yep,
which
can't go
until
wrong.
we get it, I don't know, until we get another one, I'll take BioShock inspired
Yep.
Atomic Heart. So that was pretty exciting to see come out as well.
I think that's one of my
And
most anticipated games for next year, honestly.
yeah,
I may end up being just drastically disappointed, but like I have such hope for that.
yeah, it definitely flew up my list after watching that. It looks great. It
Yeah,
looks great. It looks kind of terrifying at parts, but also like very, very intense as well.
sure.
So it looks like it's going to be good.
Yeah, maybe it's just the fact that like I'm still fresh off of Scorn, but I'm because like the trailers for this game have also been a little weird, like
Yeah.
with especially with
Mhm.
the two robots and what they're doing, and I'm like waiting for like this, like it for it to get weird like Scorn. Like I'm waiting for that to happen in this. Hopefully the story makes a little bit more sense and is at least somewhat digestible
Yeah,
and has some inkling of an ending uh, to where Scorn didn't. But I'm interested because it seems like one, Atomic Heart seems to have that fun like BioShock gameplay portion of things, but might have that really weird story aspect of Scorn, which I think is like something that could definitely be a lot more fun
yeah,
and
Yeah.
definitely a lot more involved than Scorn is.
true.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll nail the first person shooting a lot better than Scorn did.
Yeah,
That's
please,
my
for
hope.
the yeah.
Uh, and then the last thing I have, very quick, small update. There was a leak on the Hideo Kojima game Overdose. Little bit of a weird video because essentially you were watching the video through somebody um through somebody filming it on their computer screen,
Yep.
and the dude wasn't wearing a shirt in the background, so it was like it was a very
Definition of a true leak.
yeah, it was a definition of a true leak. What we saw was, I mean, you can't distinguish too much of it, but it did look like it had like a dark gameplay. I don't want to say Silent Hill too early, but what's that game with the what's that scary game with the picture Fatal Frame? It looked like it
Yeah.
had kind of like a Fatal Frame Silent Hill like esque type of thing going. So if he's working on something, well, if that's what we're seeing already, it's real early and it was kind of grainy footage.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like Craig said, it was literally the definition of a leak
Yeah.
dictionary.
Yep.
But that did get leaked this week. So I thought that was pretty interesting just to kind of see that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did want to mention too about the Hideo Kojima is that he has come out on Twitter with how many people have like they've been apparently getting ridiculous offers to buy his studio for it, but he continues to come out and say he's never going to let anybody buy his studio. He wants to continue making games, but wants to make games that he wants to make. He doesn't want to be
Weird.
tied down to whatever Xbox or PlayStation,
Yeah.
wants to pay for them. So good on Hideo. I think that's a good way to do it because let's be honest, he makes games like nothing
Yeah.
we've ever played before. Who would have
Yep,
thought Death
exactly.
Stranding was a UPS delivery simulator?
Yeah.
In a way. So a
I
community.
can appreciate someone who makes a gigantic game like Metal Gear Solid, and then it's just like, I'm going to do something completely different. And then we
Yeah.
get Death Stranding, and then he's like, hey, I'm going to do something completely different again. Like, that's so cool
Yeah.
to me that I may not like Death Stranding, but like I like just going for it. Something new.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It was definitely a reach, and you can't compare it to any other game.
No.
That's saying something. He's got an imprint there.
He does.
Next, we'll go ahead and get into games then, now that news over. But before we get into games, I could have swore I heard something downstairs. I don't know if it was the dog barking. I need to go check that out
Sure.
real quick. So I will be right back.
Yeah.
If you don't come back in 5 minutes, we'll send a search party.
If she needs to go out, that might be the thing. So
Yeah.
All right.
We'll send Rainbow Six. Just in
That's
general.
funny. I know where you live.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad he's just working on games. That dude's a genius.
He is. It's crazy.
He's
I
just
didn't really like Metal Gear Solid 4. I never finished. And 5 I did not like at all. But like 1, 2, and 3 I like some of my favorite games of all time.
yeah, 1, 2, and 3 classics.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't know what it was about 4. I think I was annoyed at the cutscenes. So many.
Yeah. Yeah, and like for a Metal Gear Solid game, that's right. There was a buddy of mine that I used to work with. He beat the game at like 2 a.m, and there's like the historic factor of the fact that like there is a 1 hour cutscene at the end. Like we'll spread out over cutscenes, but like you essentially need an hour to get some visual closure for the last 4 games that you played. So I can see how it's a turnoff.
Yeah.
But he always makes great bosses. They're always epic. They always have an epic cutscene to introduce you to them. They're always dark.
It's very
They
anime
always
inspired.
Very anime inspired. Everybody's got a story and why they're so corrupted so that they're on the side that you're fighting against. That's what he did in that series. And I still to this day don't play Metal Gear Survive out of respect for him. I have not played that game.
Never
I don't
touched
play
it
out of respect. Never.
Yep.
But I see what you mean about 5. 5 was
it was
a
different.
change. It was different, open worldy, which it worked for it sometimes and didn't, you know, because sometimes it could get bland.
It's crazy though, because I played it. I didn't play it right when it came out, but like I got it because it was like, I want to say it was like $20 or something. I picked it up, and the intro when you're in like the hospital was so cool. And I was like, oh my god, this game is awesome. And then once it got to like the open world, I just lost all interest. I was like, I'm done. But that intro was done so well.
I know they went high energy out the get go. The man on fire or whatever who was following you around, and like the kid who you didn't know who that was yet. I don't know if you read it and figured out who that is. Okay, yeah.
So like, cool.
Yeah, that was a pretty intense scene.
Crawling like on your. Oh man, it's so cool.
Yeah, it was so good.
Ah,
oh, it looks like the bear.
You're alive.
Yeah, I think she just needed to go out, so I needed to.
Okay,
gotcha.
Take her out to pee.
She peed quickly.
Yep.
She better have.
That's what I mean. Hey, when everybody has to go out, that's
when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Get those timestamps.
Them times.
Yep.
Them timber times.
We can go at 50 if you hurry.
We are gonna go at 50.
All right. Make it easy.
Clap at 50:05, Craig, for me.
50:05 on it.
Mhm.
On it, on it, on it, on it, on it, on it.
So, with that being all the news, let's go ahead and get into the games this week. And for
Games.
me, it's going to be a complete, retrospective and review on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the 2022 version, and Bayonetta 3. How about you guys?
I have stuck to my guns still on finishing games. I finished Gotham Knights, and I played a whole bunch of Bayonetta as well.
You guys are gonna hate me. So I am.
Anything.
Well, I'm sticking to my guns as well. I had quite a busy week, so really what I was able to get done was just more Gotham Knights
Sweet.
and just more Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, because I just refuse. Like, I want to give all of these other games I have to play, Requiem, all of those, like, some actual time. And then God of War is looming too, so I didn't want to start anything.
That's fair.
That makes
Give
sense.
give us that Call of Duty impression now.
So, Call of Duty, I now have put a ton of time into multiplayer, a ton of time into campaign.
Mhm.
I am with you. This is one of the better campaigns they did.
Yep.
I'm not particularly happy about the particular missions in campaign that have us rummaging for supplies.
Yeah. Not good.
Yeah, they're not good, and like the ending, how it ends as well, you're kind of forced to do that again.
Mhm.
But I do like the way they're going with kind of Ghost and Soap having a connection of
Yeah.
some sort here. Probably why he wears the red mask in the DLC or the Founders Edition of the game.
Yep.
I do like that we're seeing a younger Price. I like that, at the end of it, we finally get a big lead up to what, Modern Warfare 3 is going to be about as well, because I kept waiting for the name drop. It never happened until the credits there. I really like the campaign. I'm not happy in some aspects. Like, I know they want to do all gillied up. I know they keep trying to get there.
Yep.
But like, it's always I found myself frustrated in that mission that they have, us sniping in and walking around with Price for, because he'll tell me, oh, it's 2.5 notches down. I take the shot and it doesn't hit. Like, I'm not
Really?
anywhere. Yeah. So and I made sure I was like 2.5 notches down, aiming everything, and like I would shoot and it's not hitting, and then I would try to hit the next guy, still not hitting. So I ran into a little bit of that. I might suck. That is also a possibility as well. I'm not going to take that out of
It's not a
contention there.
possibility.
So it's a guarantee. So that's where I am with campaign. Multiplayer. I love the gameplay of multiplayer.
Mhm.
It is really solid. It reminds me of old Call of Duty. It is fast paced, a little bit slower on the ground, but time to kill feels quick. They reward you, for whichever play style you want to go for. The only thing I have to say is I do feel like we're a little light on maps. If I'm playing with friends, I am playing maybe the same 5 maps
Mhm.
over and over and over and over and over again. And then on top of that too, the gunsmith system, I'm not sure, like, I guess we got spoiled with the system in the old Modern Warfares where I can get here's a level up, here's some coins, get the guns you want to get. Where I'm a big EBR guy, and yes, you get it right at the start of marksman rifles. But if I want to try some of the other battle marksman rifles, I now need to do some gun and assault rifle and get that
Mhm.
up to a certain level to get
Yep.
it to where I want to go. It's that kind of thing that I'm not the biggest fan of, considering it used to be so easy. It used to be, okay, I'm going to have this sight, this muzzle, this, everything you wanted to is at your fingertips, where now maybe we're spoiled in that we have to work more for it. I
Yep.
have to play with the next battle rifle with no attachments for a little while
Yes.
before I can have a
Yeah.
scope. I have to
Yep.
play with it for a little while before you can have any sort of, extended magazine or anything like that. So I'm kind of like bouncing back and forth between it, because like it forces you to get good with that gun. Like if you can be good with the gun with no attachments, when you start putting on attachments, I think you start to see yourself get better with the gun, especially
Mm.
like even a red dot sight
Yeah.
definitely makes a huge difference.
Oh my god, yeah.
So that's where I'm at with multiplayer. I am having a ton of fun with the game and I'll still continue to have a lot of fun with it, but that there's some aspects of multiplayer that I think they still continue to they should be growing and maybe should have had more maps at the start, I believe, and maybe should have made the system a little bit easier when it came to getting the guns you wanted.
That
I
reminds me
th-
of something that Craig said to me the last time that we played. Go ahead, Craig,
no,
because
no,
like
go ahead.
you no, it was essentially what Barry said. You know, you were speaking about like how there's different bodies to go with each gun,
Yep.
and then you have to kind of like play that particular body just to unlock more of something completely different sometimes, like another gun.
Right.
Um, and you know, like having to play without attachments just to progress that much is a little demoralizing because the game is unforgiving anyway. At least the people playing the game. Your opponents
Yep.
are unforgiving already. And then for you to like advance a gun and then all of a sudden in order for you to get something that is a little bit more what you want to play, have to do an entirely different gun, maybe not even your style in terms, and then without attachments, and then you have to get kills specifically because you guys saw what it's like when you level up a gun that you don't even use. Like, you know, like
Yep.
it's just like it's bad. It takes a long time. So, you know, that's basically what I wanted to interject. But you just, Barry, essentially reminded me of something Craig said when we were playing Call of Duty together. It literally was
Yeah.
that, you know.
I I think I think obviously what they're doing is everybody always is like, I want to get that like obsidian camo, right? Which is like you platinumed every single weapon in the game to get that obsidian camo. And this is them being like, how can we make that process longer? Right. So you have to spend more
Yeah.
time in the game, which
Yeah.
it's pretty obvious that's what they're doing. I think like I've stuck to since the game came out, like I found that second marksman rifle, which is a bolt action, and I loved it so much. I was like, I'm going to um, unlock all the attachments. I'm going to go for gold on this one first before I do anything else. So I got like the bodies. There's the different bodies. I went through and
Mhm.
I did all three bodies, and I did leveled them all up to level 19. Um, and for me, like I like seeing all that, but it does take a while, right? Like a good long while. What I have found, and like I don't consider this a cheat. This is just like the way the game is designed. There's quicker ways to get through those gun levels. And for me, it's like anything you do objective base wise, when you get points for that, it also goes towards your gun level. So for me, I found it super easy to level up guns now because I will equip decoy grenades. And when you get the little 15 XP when it goes off near an opponent, that goes to your gun. I play kill confirm because when I pick up tags, that's 150 XP that goes right to my gun. So like my guns now are like leveling up super quick. Like I'll go up like 2 or 3 levels a game. So it's not as much of a grind for me, but I do agree that like I look at my ABR and I'm like, oh, I just want a red dot. So I look for that body and I'm like, oh, I have to get this random submachine gun to level 14 in order for me to have a red dot for my ABR. That doesn't make sense. But that's just how they did it. So I'm still having fun. It's definitely the hardest. Is that right? Like the most difficult game, I think.
Yeah.
Like I find myself just getting killed all the time, like
Oh yeah.
frustratingly so. But yeah, I still think it's a good game. We'll see how many people stick with it once Warzone drops, though.
Truth.
And after it
Uh,
now needs to compete with God of War here in the next couple days.
correct.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's for like a week, and then
Yeah.
everybody will be on to something else.
Yeah, everybody will beat it. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be back. Do we want to
They'll be-
do Bayonetta?
Yeah. I'd love to do
Yes, tell
Bayonetta
me,
here.
tell me.
I think I've played like 4 or 5 hours. How about you?
About the same. About
Okay.
the same. I
Okay.
got past, and I'm not sure where you are. I'm kind of past the first, I want to say, kaiju battle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's where I'm at with the game as well. I feel like I'm at least 4 or 5 hours into the game.
Mhm.
Now, I'm a bit more fresh from the Bayonetta series. I just
Sure.
played 1, 2, and 3 all this year. I know, Craig, you've played 1, 2, and then, now you're on 3 here over a wider time span.
Mhm.
Overall, Bayonetta 3 is great. I love it. I love Bayonetta 3. It it is
So
so
great.
much fun.
We both went with
I
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me and my roommate already finished Bayonetta 3 and he likes Bayonetta 2 more
Mhm.
than 3. One, I think you said her name is Jennifer Hale, right?
Yep.
Fantastic job as the voice actress
She
for
sounds
Bayonetta.
close. Yep.
She sounds really close. She I think nails just the sass that Bayonetta
Sure.
gets. The only problem I have with Bayonetta 3 is not with Bayonetta 3. It's with the console it's on. This game deserves so much more than what the
4K.
Switch can provide.
Yep.
And the Switch is a great system, but I can't tell you how much there are I can see the 1080 pixels in some of these things
Yep.
and Bayonetta will look like really funny from a really zoomed out portion of things. This series deserves so much better than being stuck on the Switch until Switch releases a 4K system and they release a 4K version of Bayonetta 3. Like
Okay.
that is what I truly believe. I think the combat system's great. I love the Demon Slave system, especially if you know how it works. You can control your demon and have it make hits, and you're also out of demon and you're like demon slave mode and you're going and hitting people. Like it is such a fun, chaotic thing about it. And I'm just waiting for Craig to tell me how bad Bayonetta 3 is now.
All right. So I'll give you this. And this plays better for the video, but I'll do this first and then I'll say, you ready? This is my
Yeah.
opinion on Bayonetta 3. I'm so bored.
Really?
Oh my
Yeah.
god, it's so boring. Oh man. I don't
Why is
hate
it
it, but
boring?
it's so boring. Oh my god, the intro goes on forever. It makes no sense. Not that Bayonetta makes sense, but my
It
god,
never makes
this
sense.
this game is even less sense. Um Here's the thing. I know what Bayonetta is. I love Bayonetta 1 and 2. It's one of the very few types of like I don't know how you say it. Like it's not an anime game, but like it's kind of like the out there style that I can get down with. But whatever it is about this story, I'm not vibing with at all. Um, I will say that like I feel like it's starting to get better, but like those first couple hours were just like I was so bored. Um, and I didn't want to do the skip the cutscenes because they are important in a Bayonetta game. But I don't know, Barry, like the prologue that like you start the game and it's like a decent, I would say probably 10-15 minute cutscene, and then you walk, and then it's another cutscene, and then you fight three guys, and then it's another
That's another
cutscene,
cutscene.
and then you fight another three guys, and then it's the end of the prologue. And I'm like, all right, that was a lot, but it's the prologue. Then I go to the first mission, and that I'm like, all right, I'm ready for like the more open style of Bayonetta I'm used to. Like, here's your level, go do your thing, which they do. And you go and like, I go into like, oh, there's an arena. I see it coming, right? I know there's going to be guys there. Go in and fight them. And then it does a little checkpoint where you get your coin for how you did. And then cutscene. It's just so many cutscenes. My God. And it's not even like, I just don't find them interesting at all. They're funny, which they should be, but like they could have condensed it and I think I'd be happier. I'm still going to play through it because like I said, where I'm at now, after that first big battle where you see the other Bayonetta, right?
Yeah.
The other,
Yeah.
then I'm like, all right, now we're starting to get to what I want from a Bayonetta. But yeah, that intro was just not good to me at all. Those first like was it like 3 or 4 missions? Oh my god. So boring. I
Yeah,
was
and
losing it.
I will say the super spy missions
Yeah.
are like I can see where the fun is supposed to be with them, maybe if I felt like more fluidity and I get better at it, maybe I'll feel better as it with the game mode. But the first time I went through, I was really confused as to
Yeah.
what I was doing. Because this little snippets of info they give you, I don't feel like is enough to really prepare you for what you're going to be doing in this completely separate game mode in a way from Bayonetta. So that's just something to think about. But yeah, for me personally, um, and maybe it's just because I'm fresh with it. That was a weird sentence to say from me, a white boy. So
You fresh with it. You fresh with it.
It's
I'm
fresh with
fresh
it.
with the series, but
I'm fresh with
I
it.
I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed the beginning. I thought it was a lot of like it definitely feels longer.
Yeah.
I will say I do appreciate the higher production value where it's
Mhm.
not just a clock ticking and it's still pictures and them talking.
Sure.
Everything is cut scened out. I
Oh,
believe
okay.
Yep.
I believe
I
probably the
didn't know
reason
that.
it feels slower is because we're getting like these cutscenes where it's not just clockwork and people talking to each other
Yeah.
through the clockwork scene. The cutscenes I think take a little bit longer to set up. So I see your complaining there. But how do you feel about the combat system though? Like everything else is good.
Well, the combat feels good. I
Yeah,
just wish they'd let me do more of it. That's like
yeah,
my thing is like I need that's what we're here for. Like the Bayonetta combat's great. And being able to bring in
Yeah.
the demons in the middle of your combo is cool. I'm like switching between my normal guns and that big gigantic cannon. I'm
yeah.
like, this is cool. Like I like being able to switch back and forth, get these huge combos going, but I just don't feel like they give you enough. It's so like, all right, fight these 6 things. All right, cool. Now we're gonna show you this cool thing Bayonetta is going to do that has to be a cutscene because you wouldn't be able to do that in game. And then, all right, now you're on top of the boss. Now fight this boss for a couple minutes, and then all right, now back to the cutscene. It's not enough for me at the moment.
I know we've kind of gone away from it, but do you think maybe maybe QTEs
Yeah,
would maybe be a
that
bit
would
more,
help.
yeah,
Yeah.
to at least feel a bit more a part of the action, I guess?
Yep.
Because like for them, really the only QTE you get is being told to jump
Yeah.
or mash a button, a
Yep.
particular button,
Mhm.
in order to maximize whatever rings or soul things you're getting from these homunculi demons.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, story is a little bit confusing. I'm waiting for it to come together here.
It's all over the place.
It is, and I think that's on purpose, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like overall though, like I'm just having so much fun with Bayonetta. Like and like I remember when Craig let me borrow Devil May Cry 5 and I
Mhm.
beat it in a weekend. Like these combats hack and slash games are just so much fun to play because you're having fun and it's rewarding you for how well your combo's doing. When I get a pure
Mhm.
platinum, I'm like, F yeah, I did.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
Yep.
when
Yes.
I dodge everything, like I know it. I'm like pure platinum. Give me pure platinum.
Yep.
So
It's a good
it's fun.
feeling.
I enjoy
Yeah.
those bits of the game the most. It's definitely the combat and definitely the like the rewarding system for it. The little sidebars about everything to where we have like find the 3 animal type things. Like they want you to spend more times in the map. I don't
Yeah.
know. I just get
Yeah.
frustrated because I'm always missing one. I'm only
Yeah.
missing one of them in every single one. It's like, how did I miss that? Like
Yep.
I scour these maps for these missing gemstones, and it's like
And
I
I'm
can't
not.
find it.
I'm just bull rushing through them. I
Yeah.
gave up. I was like, you know what? Like same with you. I'd be missing one. I'm like, I just don't care anymore. I just don't. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna go through it. I will say though, like Craig, for you, you'll love it. I don't think
Yeah.
there's any issue. I'm sure you'll have a blast with it. This is just
Yeah.
everybody knows what I like in a game, and like for whatever reason, Bayonetta has always been great to me, and it probably shouldn't have been, but just something about those games has always been like, yeah. So I think I was just expecting a little bit more, and maybe once I get through it, because I'm gonna beat it,
Yeah. Of course.
maybe it starts picking up. I'm gonna be like, all right, this is what I wanted. I just, maybe the intro is just a little slow for my take.
Definitely excited to play it.
Yeah. That was it for you.
Yeah, that was it for me. Yeah.
Okay. The only other thing I have was Gotham Knights. And Craig, you played a little bit more too. I did beat it.
Hey.
I was surprised that like the main storyline, the main case. It's like numbered, right? Like 1 point whatever. There's only 8. So it's not that long. I think if you were to mainline just the case, the main story to get through it, I bet you it would be 10 hours, if that, maybe less. My characters were level 30 when I finished. I don't know what the max is, but I didn't get the achievement for max, so it's higher than 30. Um, I like the story a lot. I like where they went with it. I thought it was cool at the end. Very cool. Uh, I had a blast and I was determined to get through it before God of War, and I did with plenty of time to spare. It was shorter than I thought it was going to be when I first started, because I was like, oh my God, there's so much going on. But
Mhm.
I got through it. So I did all the side villains, did every single one. The only thing I didn't do was like the side stuff with the watch, which is literally like, all right, go beat up 10 of this guy. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. But I did the main side stuff. And I honestly think that this might sneak on my top 10 this year. I think it might.
You don't say.
Yeah, I was surprised how much fun I had with this game. What do you think though? How far along are you now?
So my issue is that I keep doing missions like the one you skipped. I mean, I
The
do
side
like a lot of
ones?
the side stuff too, but like because you have the option of going out and just beating up guys and coming back and like not
Yeah.
even completing a mission.
Yep.
There have been certain times where because you only get 7 health packs to start and you really have to beat like other big people or like
Sure.
important people to get more. There's certain times I ended a night short,
Mhm.
so to speak. So I think I'm really elongating this game for me. But I am after the second case, I'm on the third where you have the key
Sure.
or
Yep.
whatever. So I now that you say that there's 8, it looks like I can really because like if you actually just do that, it seems like you can get through one in an hour, hour and a half, like
Yeah, they're
each
short.
case.
Mhm.
So technically I could get down and get through it, but it kind of revitalized itself for me because I think I got in such a rhythm with the combat. And once you unlock all the fast travel points,
Yep.
and I really found out that Robin just is my guy. I think I was really
Really?
making it, I was making it annoying for myself by going between Robin and Nightwing because you go backwards,
Yep.
somebody doesn't have something. Like they get experience collectively, but they don't get like other progression stuff or certain progression stuff collectively.
Mhm.
But Robin's the stealth guy. He has bonuses when he does stealth. He has bonuses like after the fact, like if you get caught after doing like a stealthy grab and knockout. And I'm a stealth guy, you know, like I'm a Metal Gear
Sure.
Solid guy. So like I decided to put Nightwing down for good, and I'm sticking with Robin, and I think that's helping me progress the story a lot more, to be honest.
I think his knighthood, method of transportation is
It's annoying.
awful. It's
It's
awful.
annoying.
I
I've
hate
gotten
it.
used to it, but
Yeah.
it's annoying.
It's so
That's why I
bad.
put him back. Yeah, I went
Yeah.
back to Nightwing because of that.
Yeah.
But
I made a point to get the knighthood thing for all 4 of them. So I was like, I want to see how everything works. And like, obviously, Batgirl has the very same one as Batman, where she just glides. I liked Nightwings, where he can kind of like hover up and down. That's cool.
yeah,
The Robin one I just didn't get. I was like, I don't
it's stupid.
understand. It's like you teleport, but it doesn't quite like where I line it up isn't where he goes. It's always somewhere else. I was like,
Yeah,
I just stopped playing as him because I was just like, this is annoying. But
it is
he
quite
felt
annoying.
good as stealth. He feels good. And I think Nightwing feels great. Batgirl was like my favorite. I think she's great. Um,
Mm.
Red Hood's the worst by far. Like
Red Hood
just
is the worst.
absolute worst. But yeah, I think it's a great game, honestly. I think it's gonna get overlooked, unfortunately.
Yeah, it still has its small flaws and stuff, but
Yeah.
I think it will. I mean, it's just stupid small things, you know, nothing
it
crazy.
it came out at kind of the wrong time. They should have released it a couple months ago, and I think it would have done better. But at this point in time, when you're trying to decide where to spend your money, it's I don't think it's going to be Gotham Knights for a lot of people. When God of War and Call of Duty and all these other games are out there, I just don't. It's going to get. But then again, maybe it's a game that's $20 2 months from now, and everybody picks up and enjoys. So
Yes, and I'll feel like an idiot for buying it full price.
yeah, me too.
Mhm. Same here.
Yep.
So that's going to be it for games this week. Unless, do you want to talk about Mario and Sparks of Hope thing anymore.
I'd rather finish it. I think I gave like a great outlook on it, like
Sure.
these
Yeah.
past couple of podcasts, and I don't want to beat the dead horse, so to speak. So
Okay.
All right.
So that's going to be it for games this week. We're going to go into movies. And for me, I have a little announcement to make. The James Bond marathon of movies is now on hold.
Hey, guess
S-
what? Guess what, Barry?
what?
I'm in the same boat as you because I started and did not realize that Amazon Prime was taking them off.
I'm mad at
Me
that. Very
too.
mad.
Maybe they'll
Amazon
pop up somewhere
owns them.
else. Maybe they'll
Amazon
pop up.
owns them.
They
How
do.
how
What? Why?
why charge?
Why?
I
Why?
don't get it
Yeah.
either.
Okay, so I watched Doctor No, From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger. That's what I got through.
See, the thing was I was trying to do one a week. So
Okay.
I watched Doctor No. I was
Yep.
going to watch Casino Royale.
Okay. Yep.
The older one. And then I went to go try to watch the next one with Russia with Love,
Yep.
and they want to charge me for all of these, and I'm like,
Yep.
no, you're not charging me for all of these. I'm not
I,
doing this.
I started on Monday, after we recorded, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do it too. And I started, and when I did Dr. No, the first one, and then I saw the little up in the thing, will be off Amazon Prime in 3 days. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, why in the world would they do that? So crazy. But anyway, continue. What else did you watch?
The only other thing, so the only thing I actually watched this week was a movie
Barbarian.
called Wendell and Wild
Hey, that's a good one.
on Netflix.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, I have Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, and then the Roku original Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I really have is, I guess Barry, you'll be excited about this. Is I did finish Cyberpunk Edge
Hey.
Runners.
Finally.
So
I have
I
not.
think last time we spoke, I had 20 minutes left, so it wasn't hard to do. But I did get through it. It was a very important 20 minutes. But
We've got there,
Yeah, it
guys.
was.
He's done it.
yeah. So that's primarily what I watched this week. I really didn't get a chance. So.
So I want you, because Cyberpunk Edge Runners is the
Yeah.
oldest thing that we're talking about here. You go first then.
What can I say? Like certain other animated animes come to mind on Netflix, like Death Note.
Death Throat, yeah, my favorite.
Death Note. Yeah, Death Note, my favorite. Like Death Note or Attack on Titan, when like I think the whole series was on there. Now it's really not. This is insane, man. And it's like I'm still in love with the art style. The characters, you really like David, you really like Lucy. There's other people that like you like throughout the series, but you get like that romantic side where you're just rooting for him and such like that. Man, it's bloody, and you like a lot of characters. I think no matter if they have 5 minutes of screen time or 45 minutes of screen time, they kill a lot of people, man. Like they kill so many likable people in that game, in that show, that like by the end of it, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I need like some type of therapy after this or something, because everybody has their own lane and how they represent the main story going on. So you got like the crew that David's on. Maine is an amazing character, at least to me. The idea that of what they struggle with having that like cyber psychosis. So basically, if you got too much on your grill and so many attachments on you that you eventually just lose your side of humanity, you even with like a drug that you can take to like subside it. That battle is a very interesting, wrapped around the entire full narrative of the show. Now, when you combine that with a very interesting art style and how they choose to transition between scenes, how they choose to show the many deaths on the show, and how they choose to show people who survive specific instances on the show. It creates a world that made me at the end of it be like, I'm glad I don't live in it. I'm really glad I got to watch this as opposed to actually living it day to day, because like inner city life is way different than what I live now. I live in a suburb type of scenario where I live, but like that city in Cyberpunk is insane. So overall, quite pleased with it. I mentioned those other two series because I wanted to show what a caliber I think it's on. I believe Attack on Titan is on a really high caliber. I believe Death Note is on a really high caliber. And I know that Barry could tell me 10 others that I should have already been watching that are on such a caliber as well. But I am truly happy that I watched it. There was at least 15 times in watching it that I wanted to play the game again. And I think everybody should take a peek, regardless of how you felt about the actual Cyberpunk game. Wow. Take a peek, watch the whole thing. It's not long. It's good. It's
yeah, but
really
how does
good.
it compare to Food Wars?
I wasn't expecting that.
I didn't feel as turned on as apparently Food Wars is supposed to make me feel.
I was just trying to compare to other greats in the anime genre, and obviously Food Wars is held in such high regard as one of the greatest animes of all time that I wanted to see where it compares. That's all.
Craig is a man of taste, is what it is. And if you've watched Food Wars, it's taste in all sense of the word.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's in all sense of the word.
Good
So,
stuff.
I mean, is it on par with Food Wars, Barry? Is it as good as Food Wars? If I enjoy Food Wars, will I enjoy Cyberpunk?
No. Cyberpunk is such a different animal in what like you want two different extremes of like anime, that's that.
Yeah.
You want the extreme serious, it's Cyberpunk Edge Runners. If you want the extreme silliness and somewhat borderline, you're not watching it with your kids or your parents in the room.
For sure.
That's Food Wars, especially the first two episodes. God, that stuff is hilarious. You're not
great.
laughing. You're not laughing during Cyberpunk Edge Runners like you are in Food
You're
Wars.
not. No, you're not.
So it all depends on what story you want to, indulge in. Do you want serious or do you want to laugh and be slightly uncomfortable?
If somebody is like, hey, I've never watched anime, what's a good example? Are you showing them Cyberpunk or Food Wars?
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
I think it's Food Wars.
Oh, side note, by the way.
Oh,
Barry,
yeah. Sorry. The answer is both. Yeah. The answer is both.
Yeah, the answer is both. Yeah. I just have to tell you this before I forget. Rebecca is the best character. The short one.
Yeah. Rebecca. Yeah.
She's
so much fun.
She's the best one. I would have forgotten that, and I never would have told you that in my lifetime because I know I would have forgotten that. But she's the best character. But yes. But Food Wars.
I don't know how that got in there, but it did.
We're gonna skip Food Wars. We're gonna skip Food Wars, and we're going to me, who watched Wendell and Wild.
Hey, this is my kid's favorite movie right now.
Is it?
Oh wow!
I've seen it like twice already.
Now wait, is it like newer? Like I just noticed it, or okay, cool.
This came out. Yep.
So Wendell and Wild, a stop motion movie as well. So there, a lot of production went into this. Has the voice talents of Key and Peele. Also has a couple other voice talents that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Wendell and Wild, though, I genuinely really enjoyed and loved this movie. What it is, pretty much, and I'm trying not to spoil it. You kind of have a troubled girl, like in most movies. The girl is troubled, been through the, how do I put it?
You can say it's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler to say death of her parents.
Okay. So from the death of her parents, she starts to get put through the United States jail system through, juvenile detention.
Yep.
And she finds her way to a school in which she is meant to sort of get straight in a way to kind of like fix her attitude and fix a lot of the stuff that's going on. Through a lot of things, you find out that she has a connection with these two characters named Wendell and Wild. And for me, they are the star of the show. But the story does not revolve around them.
They're demons.
Yeah, they're demons. Wendell and Wild, like they are like, and it's Key and Peele. They are very funny, and you can.
Yep.
I do like that they modeled the demons after their real life counterparts. You can tell which one's Key and which one's Peele or Jordan. So, like overall though, like the production quality is really really good on the stop motion movie. I love these movies, and the moment I saw that the director of Coraline was in was related into this in some way, I knew I had to watch it. And it isn't as dark as Caroline can be.
Yeah.
It is definitely, I believe, more of a family friendly stop motion film from this director. But just overall, the message it sends, the stop motion, all of the voice acting, I believe, is really good. And the effects are all good there. Like, this is just overall a genuinely good movie. Genuinely.
Yeah, I think everybody should watch it. It's done very well.
Alright.
Okay, so let me do the 3 James Bond movies. I literally just because Amazon did do a very good job of like organizing them, so I just like I googled. I was like, "What's the order that I should
Exactly.
watch James Bond movies in?"
Exactly.
So
I have to look up James Bond
Yep.
chronological order.
So I
Yeah.
just went with the order they were released, right? So that was Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger were like it was like 65, 1966, 1967, whatever, something like that. All Sean Connery.
Casino
What's up?
Royale
Yeah.
wasn't the second one?
No.
Okay.
Anyways,
Sorry, what I looked at said Casino Royale is the one I have to watch next. So that's why I went toward that one.
so I have rewatched these first three movies that Sean Connery did. My thoughts on the movies are what passed for acting then is laughable now. It's so bad. But it's still an entertaining movie. They're not bad movies at all. Like I still think they hold up. They're entertaining enough, but like the way they write these movies, especially like the first one and a little bit of the second one, it's so ridiculous. Like you'll get like a line of dialogue and then it's like, okay, next scene. You know, it'll be like, we need to go here. End scene. Um, what I will say it does not hold up whatsoever is if you take these movies and release them now, Sean Connery as James Bond has committed about 75 acts of sexual assault. This man that has not aged well at all. At
Wow.
all. Straight up sexual assault, right? Like that's just how James Bond was, especially in the Sean Connery era, the 60s. The amount of times that I heard in those 3 movies where like there's always the woman figure, right, with James Bond, where he'll be with somebody else and he'll like push him and be like, go away, the men are talking, like that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that doesn't
Has
hold
not
up.
aged well in the least. I think like they're still watchable today. Besides that, like they're entertaining. The stories are fine, right? Like they're pretty, some of them are pretty cool. It's just funny to go back and look at those and be like, man, I forgot how like bad they were towards all of the women in these movies,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
Man, this was like, this movie's for the men. See yourselves out, women. You know, like that
Yes.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you're looking for
But
like a
yeah, so-
strong woman character in these movies, you're
Oh,
not gonna find it. You are
none.
not gonna find it at all.
Right. There was one, oh man, I want to say it was in Goldfinger, I believe. But like the scene that stuck out to me the most was like it's at the very beginning and he's at this like retreat to get his like back fixed because it got hurt in the previous movie, right? So he has this lady who's like his masseuse or whatever. She's working on his back, and it's like this dynamic that they have where he likes her but she's not interested, and he literally like grabs her head to like force her to kiss him, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like so
Yeah.
bad.
Jesus.
Yeah, but I mean I'm not saying it's okay, but like back then that was right. Like that's how the movies went, unfortunately. So it didn't like ruin it, but it kind of like you look at those movies a little bit differently now, where you're just like,
Yeah.
geez,
Yeah.
you know. But as far as like going through them, I was having a good time until Amazon decided to just yank them off their service. So
Jeez,
just
yeah.
like you, Barry, I am now on hold because I refuse to pay. And I'm not going to buy that huge box set either. I'm not doing that.
Maybe I
But
asked for it
hopefully
for
they get put back
Christmas
in
is
there.
my only hope. Like I don't want to buy it either,
Yeah.
and I'm not spending my own money on
Yeah.
it. So maybe someone buys
No,
it for me.
no. I don't think they're good enough to warrant the purchase, honestly. Like they're
I
a
would
good
agree.
streaming movie. But the other one I watched was Weird, the Al Yankovic story. For those who don't know this about me, as a kid, I absolutely loved Weird Al. Thought he was the greatest thing ever. All his parody songs were like I could probably quote 95% of them.
I'm
What
there as well.
what I enjoy about this movie is the fact that they have come out and said that they did zero research about his life. That's how Weird Al wanted it. It is not true at all, and it's the one of the funniest comedy. It kind of reminds me of what was it well, the big one for me is Tenacious D, The Pick of Destiny.
Yeah.
I love that movie, and this is kind of like that. The Dewey Cox story, Walk Hard. It's kind of like
I
that,
walk
where
hard.
it's
Okay.
like that funny biography, but nothing is true at
Yeah.
all. Oh my god, this is hilarious! And the amount of people that cameo in this movie. There's a scene specifically that Weird Al himself said that like there's this party scene, and he literally emailed everybody on his Christmas card list and said, "Hey, I would love to have you in this scene." And the amount of people that responded and came out to this one scene is insane. So yeah, if you have, I don't know if you do you have to have a Roku device to get the Roku channel? I don't know how that works.
That's a tough question. And that also
That is
kind
a
of
tough question.
it
Yeah,
like
I mean,
limits
I'm sure there's
the amount of people
yeah.
that could see it.
Correct. I tried looking that up and it seemed like you could download the app on certain other devices that weren't Roku. I just happen to have a Roku device in my bedroom TV, so it works out.
Yeah.
If you do have one, it's completely free. Like that channel is free, so you don't have to pay anything for this movie, which is awesome. You just stream it. But man, I cannot recommend it enough. Even if you don't like Weird
Yeah.
Al, it's just a great comedy. It's hilarious. So 100% check that out.
All right, perfect. Any other comments, concerns, or questions we want to put out there before we end the podcast here?
God of War week.
God of War week,
God of War.
Sonic. Well, let's be honest. You all want to hear about Sonic
Food
Frontiers.
Wars.
I will take
God of War.
personally the Sonic Frontiers portion of things. That everybody who wants to hear about Sonic Frontiers, I am your go-to person.
I'm trying to
I
get my
will be
hands
that
on
one.
it as well. So I want to play it, but God of War is more important.
God of War, Food Wars.
Oh God.
You know, all the wars.
Perfect.
That was a good segue. I like that.
It was.
With that, guys, I do want to thank you for listening. If you feel so inclined, please make sure to review it on your podcast listening platform of choice and share it with friends or family that you think would like this podcast. If you're looking to get in touch with us or be a part of the social, we have Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. And if you're looking to email us, we have highsensitivitypodcast@gmail.com if you're looking to just send us an email with any sort of question or anything like that. Other than that, I really hope everybody has a good weekend. I hope everybody gets to enjoy God of War in the most non-spoiler way possible.
Yes.
For anybody who's looking for
Yes.
it. Be careful of the reviews. That's what I'll say. If like the reviews, I definitely more listened than watched for the most part.
Mhm.
So I feel pretty still spoiler free on there, but this game looks to be the biggest thing to come out for gaming here, and I can't wait for nobody to be able to buy a PlayStation 5 to play it because everybody
Right.
will have already bought one to play this game.
At least you can play it on PS4.
Yeah, but you know what they haven't come out with yet, and I guess this is a little aside. I haven't heard anything about what the difference between the two games is, because we
Sure.
know with Forbidden West, they used a different camera system in Forbidden West on the PS5 version that allowed you to see more and, have that kind of good graphics everywhere and everything like
Sure.
that. So I want to see what the big difference is between there. I know IGN has a video. I'm not going to watch it because I'm afraid of spoilers.
Nah.
Yep.
Not watching anything until.
Yep. Not
Until
till I
we-
play it.
Exactly. Thank you guys for listening again. You guys enjoy. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.